All right, welcome everyone to episode 3 of the Chronicles. The search continues. I can't even say it with a straight face with my guest sitting in front of me. I am honored today to be joined by one Charnel Lightsey Johnson, who is so much blessing me with her presence via Zoom. Uh, I say I had a hard time, man. I have a hard time saying the name of the show in front of her because she's one of the few that knows kind of the radio show roots of that. I think I've said on every episode that I used to be one of my radio shows in college was Where Did You Get That Corn with the illustrious Dennis Madden, who'll be on the show
Yeah.
eventually. And yeah, so Charnel knows that, and so the Corn Chronicles brings a smile to both of our faces. Charnel, how you doing today?
Hello. I am doing very well now. How are you doing, sir? It has been much too long.
Man, tell me about it. Charnel, I just want to say, for the sake of the recording, I know I said it when you first hopped on, but those glasses are absolutely tremendous. I'm a big fan of those.
Thank you. You
Big
know,
fan.
I was saying to myself, I want something that's gonna be bright, because these are my like work glasses because of the blue light and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get some bright glasses, and I saw these, and I was like, these
yeah,
are it. So I wasn't sure about them at first, but now I love them. So thank you. I
man.
appreciate that.
Not everybody can pull those off, man. If I wore them, baby boy, this would be a short show indeed. I'll tell you that. Charnel, tell me a little bit. I know I think about the radio show often, and I know you had one of your own.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
Well, what you guys came on, you and Dennis were before my show,
That's
right?
right.
So I would come in, see your bright shining faces, and you were always laughing about something crazy.
Yeah.
And
By the end of each
I
show, I
always
think it was
thoroughly,
just me making fun of Dennis. Yeah. Kind of lost its
yeah,
form
I'm
a little
trying
bit.
to think. I don't know. There was something about his hands, like mitten hands or something, that like is in the back of my mind. And I couldn't I was like, let me come up with some topics that I remember, and that one's like just hands. So if you remember it, you gotta let me know because
I do,
because whatever it is, it was funny enough to stick out in my mind. So
I do remember,
whatever that is.
I
Yeah.
do remember.
Throw it out.
I used to call him gloves against his will. That might have been it because he wore
Yes.
gloves for football season, and I used to say, "Hey, can I call you gloves?" And he would say, "No, you can't." And I'm like, "All right, man, but if I call you gloves and you acknowledge it, like then pretty much I can call you gloves." And
Yeah.
he's like, "I guess." And I'm like, "Okay." And so eventually he acknowledged it, and in my mind, he was the beloved gloves ever since. Anyway, oh,
Yes.
I also remember the time where he was talking about how he fell down the stairs. On, now that was very funny. He fell down the stairs on like the day of his 21st birthday, but like just because he
Uh-huh.
was reading something, like it wasn't even that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And I was trying to get him to describe the story, and he muted my microphone. Man, that was splendid. Charnel was there for that one too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Uh,
man. When are you gonna have Dennis on? I need to just see his face.
yeah, no, we've been talking about it. I'd like to think next week. I gotta be honest, man. I sound like a smug jerk when I say this, but like people have been really kind of wanting to be on, so it's like kind of like, oh, I'll see if I can squeeze it in there, like yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're working on it,
That's
man.
awesome.
It's gonna
You
be
know, like I said, I think I commented on your Instagram post. I feel like you of all people, you were like one of the ones that people just, they gravitate towards. You're such a ray of sunshine,
oh
and
dear.
people need that. So I'm glad that you're doing this. I think it's
Oh,
going to be awesome. So,
that
yeah.
means a lot. I'm gonna Venmo you later for saying that. All right. I,
Look, okay, I'll send you my handle. It's fine.
yeah, indeed. Right on. So Charnel, I'm, I don't, I don't think for a lot of people it would be appropriate for me to do this, but for you, I feel like it's appropriate to wind things back to the first time I ever met you, and that was in Randy Woodfield, great man, rest in peace, of course.
Uh,
That was in his opera theater workshop, and I
yes.
remember very distinctly that you and I are kind of similar in the sense that the stage is the stage, and when we're on it, like we're gonna take it, like I have that mindset. I don't want to speak for you, but but when you're off the stage, like I'm a little more like, okay, I'm gonna be quiet now, you know what I'm saying? And I remember that
Yes,
that
yes,
class.
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're delaying a little bit. I apologize.
Oh,
um,
no.
so um, I remember distinctly that that class was full of a lot of performers, you know what I'm saying, and beautiful people with a lot of talent, but like a lot of people that were just like, like really kind of in your face a little bit. And I remember very distinctly that
Right.
kind of you, me, and that lovely girl, Risa, who I really don't think I've spoken to her since the class wrapped up, but she was tremendous. Um, were really kind of more reserved. And I remember so vividly where finally we don't start singing in this chorus until about 2 weeks in. And
Yeah.
I remember you did a duet with Addie, and
Yes.
and I just remember like at the time I knew Addie could sing already, and I was just kind of like, sounds good. And then like you go, and I'm like still looking kind of this way, and then I hear your voice, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, and
Oh,
baby boy, it's like the whole room stopped. I will never forget that.
really?
Man, oh man.
Okay, I honestly don't remember it that way. I remember me being so like, I'm so happy that Addie wanted to sing the song with me, but why did she want to sing with me? Because she is absolutely phenomenal and just, I don't know. I personally, I was just like, oh man, I'm just like glad to sing with her because she's great. I didn't really think about it on my end. So I appreciate you saying that.
Charnel, it blew me away. It blew me away. And I remember my first performance there too. I performed a show you know well. I performed Aida. I forget the name of the song, but it was one of the Zoser songs. Oh, another pyramid, I think.
Yes, yes, yes.
And what I'll never forget about that is after we're done, uh, Randy says, he's like, and I'm not going to do an impression of him because that would be a disservice to him, but he's like, well, first of all, I don't know where that voice came from, but wow. And I'm like, okay. And then he says, second of all, though, as well as you saying that, I still feel like I want to hang out with you. And in my mind, I'm just like, oh, cool. Like, he wants to hang out. You know what I'm saying? Like, sweet, dude. Yeah, sweet. And I'm like, I don't see the criticism in that. And he's like, no, like, you're supposed to be the bad guy, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess. And he's like, okay, well, going forward, you got to sing it like the bad guy, not like somebody I want to get a pizza with or something like that.
Yeah.
What he said. I'll never forget that. I've never had the point go so cleanly over my head.
You know, he, uh, I miss him. He was, you never really took, he did a very good job of delivering criticism. So
Yeah.
it's easy to just, kind of glaze over it. So I understand that.
Yeah.
I do remember that though, and you just being like absolutely amazing because you were very. I remember you being more quiet than anything, so I was like, oh, okay, this kid, and then you start singing. I was like, holy hell, what is going on? So, and I
Oh
was like,
man.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
Man, I'm about to Venmo the
I
heck
feel
out of
like
you after this show, man. Yeah, man. So,
well, I'm not gonna turn it away. It's
no,
fine.
no doubt. Hey, we're here. It's a great app. Yeah. Where we really kind of got to know each other was, of course, through the a cappella group on campus called Rhapsody. I know I have a couple of Rhapsody memories that I hope we get to in a little bit, but I feel like I've been talking a little too much about kind of these shared experiences. I kind of want to know musically, as nebulous as this question is, like kind of what has kind of shaped or who has kind of shaped you as a performer and kind of your pursuits there? Because, I mean, modesty aside, and as much as you don't think, as much as you were wondering why Addie would want to perform with you, I still have songs that I hear on the radio that I'm like, nah, Charnel had it done better. You know what I'm saying? And I guess I would just love to know a little bit musically about A, your growth, and maybe B, kind of some artists or people in your life that have kind of shaped you as a performer a little bit.
Well, as far as people who shaped me, I still say, and it's like super cliche, whatever. My music teacher in high school was really the first person to be like, "Yeah, this is great. You've got something. Keep at it." So I'm like, oh, okay, sure. But I never really thought of it like that until I don't know, a little later on. I feel like in college I found my groove a little bit. But I always appreciated that. My brother, because he is insanely, he's a different kind of character and just not really afraid to do much of anything. And he sings as well. So, you know, he does his thing and he doesn't care. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that too. So I feel like that helped a little bit. And I don't know, as far as my like musical tastes, I feel like since college it's definitely changed more from I was obsessed with Jason Mraz and like Sarah Bareilles and Ingrid Michaelson and those kinds, and I still like them. I feel like now I'm more so if I'm not listening to audiobooks or podcasts, which sounds absolutely disgustingly old to me, I am listening to show tunes. And not to say that I didn't do that before, but it's definitely a lot more now. So, but I don't know. I feel like with growth, I've been trying to listen to a wider range of things. Yeah. So like the other day, we were listening to Nate. I don't know if you've heard of her before.
I'm sorry?
No Name.
Oh, I don't think so.
She's like a singer rapper. Look her up. She's really, really good.
Yeah.
But Brian's has really weird taste, so I've been like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll give into it, and it's all very good. So yeah, so look for No Name. I'll have to send you something.
I'm learning that. Yeah, sweet. Oh,
but yeah, it's a crazy thing because for as musical and as much as I love music, I don't really listen to it that much anymore, which kind of makes me a little bit sad. And I don't sing anymore or as much anymore.
Right.
I know it's really terrible. It makes me very sad, but if I ever found the time or had something to do, I would definitely do it. It's not for, because I've just decided to stop. It's just no opportunities have come up. So Bennett, my little baby girl, she really, I don't know if she enjoys it or not, but she's my new audience now, so.
I bet she loves it. She always looks like the happiest little nugget every time I see her. Good Lord. Nah, man, I'm not the type. She might be the cutest thing on the face of the earth.
Well, she's a little sad. I don't know how much longer you can say that, but.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm always going to be biased because I know she has love for the streets like I do, I'm telling you, if you ever want, I'd be happy to take a shift. We can talk Sesame Street all day, me and Bennett, by all means.
It's ridiculous. Like, I'm pretty sure her like third word was Elmo. So yeah. Oh, and I know that I already thanked you, but I'll thank you publicly because I just thought it was super sweet. For sending her the Elmo Says book.
Oh
That was like
yeah.
her first favorite book. She like took it everywhere and made us read it a million times. And she just absolutely loved it. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to it though because her last stomach flu. It did not make it
Oh
through.
no. All right. Well, I'm
But
glad it had the
we
shelf
had
life.
some good times.
Good man. Well,
Yeah.
that's the best way for a book to go over use. You know what I'm saying? So that's great. I mean, I'm glad she loved it. I mean, I make it a point to test for quality every Sesame Street book that I purchase. You know what I'm saying?
Of course. Yeah. That's the only way to go, Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
I feel you.
How am I to endorse this book if I do not know, in fact, how it ends and what Elmo does indeed say? Uh, oh man, I'm so happy to hear that. Oh, so, so, man, I'm just losing it. I don't know how we can transition anymore. But one of the ways we kind of, because for me too, like I went to, my point in saying all this is Rhapsody opened up a lot of different musical genres to me too. Um, I was not a guy who listened to the radio much, um, and it's amazing how even in college I would be like, classic rock, folk rock, like a lot of this like under the radar kind of stuff, and even kind of by the time sophomore year of jazz came out. Good lord, sophomore year of jazz, sophomore year of college came around. Like I was starting to develop a pretty vast jazz collection. And even with all that said, people would be like, "Hey, do you like that Duffy song?" And I'd be like, What's a Duffy song?" Like I thought, like it didn't even occur to me that was a person. And I think Rhapsody always did well to kind of keep my ears more present on what was kind of occurring in pop culture that I certainly wouldn't have anyway. To be honest, I don't even know where to approach kind of Rhapsody memories. I think anything from those car rides in Jackie's super small blue car. That time,
Yes.
that time we laid on. I'm not gonna go grab it, but I have the picture of us laying on the hood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have that framed up on my dresser to this day, and it's the most
Oh.
probably obscure framed photo that I have. That occasionally guests will be like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Well, that's
You have to explain it. Yeah.
Jackie has. Oh man, and Jackie was so kind. I used to kind of give her a hard time in college, but it was all out of love, and which I think we would still do it to this day if I saw her. But she was always very kind and gave myself and Charnel quick rides after Rhapsody rehearsal to, back to our dorms or wherever we were living. And she had this car that, like I'm only 6'1", you know what I'm saying? And usually pretty gangly. I've had some moments where I bulk up a little bit, but usually pretty scarecrow-like. And baby boy, this thing was so cramped, even for me. And so we have the two of us kind of in this car, and she's being so sweet, giving us a ride. And this is like the Blue Bullet, which I think she called it something like that.
Yeah.
And there was one time where I literally made fun of Jackie, because that was the nature of the relationship, for wearing all blue. And I'm like, "What, do you match in your car?" And then I literally looked down like an idiot, which is classic Tom, and I'm wearing all blue as well. And I'm just like, "Well, can I have a ride?" And of course, she gave us a ride. But before we did that, Jackie and I took kind of this photo of us kind of camouflaging into her car. So I'm laying on her hood with my face obscured, and she's kind of under her hood in the passenger seat. It's really, it's a very strange photo, but it's something that I'm always gonna love.
Oh yeah. Agreed. Yeah, you guys. And Jackie's another one too. You should definitely have on here because girlfriend is crazy.
Yeah, man. You bet. That would be cool. I'll have to bring that up. Yeah. So it's hard to really approach memories because honestly, even just rides back from Rhapsody have just spawned like a 5 minute story.
Yeah.
It was enough of a part of our lives where you made a documentary about it. Boy, oh boy. And I got to share my Egyptian joke with the world, you know?
Yes, I did. I'm pretty sure I still have it. I haven't watched it in years, probably, but I think that was like one of the best projects that I had ever done, one of the most fun, I'll say, and I'm so glad that everybody was on board to be on camera all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a group of us, so of course
Yeah.
they were fine with it.
Of course.
But you know, it was such a good time, and I swear, the jokes just keep on coming.
I
I am so upset because I think I lost the leftover footage because there were so many more jokes that
oh,
you had in
no.
there. I know I have to find it. I have to look for it, but it was so, like there were
I don't
tons.
know. It's like an illness, man. I didn't know I was cracking that many jokes. Boy, oh boy. I must do that when I get uncomfortable, you know? Boy, oh boy.
I mean, yeah. It was so funny though. I don't know. I feel like I told you before, I have a horrible memory, but I do have very, fond memories of um, doing that with you, just because you always make things so memorable. So I feel like it
Uh,
was a good time. It really was.
it was, it really was. I couldn't put all that into words, man, all the memories. Now,
Yeah.
here's one thing I did want to say, because I love that you're here, because a couple weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago, I tried to explain to a dear friend of mine who I work with now, lovely girl, and I was trying to explain to her about the time we tried to spend all day calling me Young Jeezy. and I'm trying to tell her like, no, it wasn't weird. It was just funny. And she's the nicest girl in the world. And she's
Yeah.
literally just kind of stared at me and just kind of like, oh yeah, did you do that? And I'm like, yeah, we did. I'm like, I got so like pleasantly frustrated. I'm like, you weren't there, you know? I promise you, it was good. You know, like we enjoyed it. We had fun. But yes, we did try to go. We did try to go a
Yeah.
whole day once, with Charnel referring to me as Young Jeezy with a straight face. Man,
You know, I think about it now and I'm like, have I really grown from college? No.
not at all. We're
All
still.
of this is still
I mean,
funny to me.
speaking for myself as Young Jeezy, I'm still, mentally, I am not a 30-year-old Jeezy. I'm a young Jeezy indeed. Um,
Wasn't that it too? Like you were just Jeezy, but we were trying to like old Jeezy,
yeah,
young Jeezy, tired Jeezy. Like just yeah, just
running down.
just
We were running down the Seven Dwarfs. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, yeah.
yeah. Oh man, just crazy. Who are we?
Speaking of crazy,
Oh man. Yeah.
now, I know you and I both
Yes.
ventured our hand at making a few arrangements for the Rhapsody acapella group, which I always took a lot of pride in because
Yes.
for us to do that specifically, and there were a couple others by all means, um, like Greg comes to mind as well. It was always kind of an adventure for a non-music major to kind of throw their hat in the ring and say, hey guys, we should learn this song. This is what I arranged, check it out. Can you talk me through kind of
Right.
a couple of the songs that you arranged, maybe some of your favorites? I mean, by now I'm asking you to reflect on something that was like 10 years ago, but like what were some of your experiences with that? And it had to feel good when it got right.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that the most successful song that I did, well, successful in being the number of times we actually performed it and how many times it was performed after we left, is Crazy by Gnarls Barkley, which was always I just love that song anyway. So I was like, we got to do this. It's super easy to do. So let's just make it work. And it did. Because of course I was a mass comm major. I was involved in music, but I was never like a music theorist. So I had no idea like how to properly arrange anything. So I was like, yeah, I'll just slap this down on some paper and then talk everybody through it when we get together. And people don't learn like that, apparently. I don't know. But it worked, right?
Yeah.
It worked for this song. So I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And it just came together so well. I absolutely loved it. That was probably my like favorite one. Then did I Arms Race by Fall Out Boy?
Right.
That
It's another one of those
made
songs that I never would have heard
fun.
if somebody didn't bring it to my attention.
Oh yeah, I love Fall Out Boy. I still kind of do. But I just love that song too, and I figured it would be really fun to sing. So I tried my hand at it, and it came together pretty well. I remember that one was really hard to teach, just because there were a lot of things that I didn't know how to explain to music-minded people.
Of course.
So yeah, but I think that one went really well, and I went back for I don't know if it was while Jackie and Tyler were still there or not. I went back to see a concert and they were doing that one still, and I was like, okay, yeah, I feel good about that.
That's neat.
So
That's
I'd
something
say
about
those two are
fingerprints.
probably my favorite. Yeah, right. And I was like, man, I at least left my mark on something, but I don't know if they're still. I haven't been back in a little bit, but I don't know. Like, we should all go to one coming up after all this stuff is done,
You
shutting
bet.
down.
Hey,
Yeah.
after all this stuff is done, you couldn't keep me here. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be all over the place by all means. Sean, now I gotta say, it's another kind of parallel that I feel like you and I had. Well, first of all, I want to say that I can relate in terms of explaining non-exact things to very exacting music majors. Music majors with huge hearts that are there to learn. Like, let's be clear about that.
Oh yeah.
But I remember one of my arrangements was Walking on the Moon, which once we got, that was pretty hot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I remember the first day I tried to teach it, I was like, yeah, these are kind of the notes, and this song is about friendship, And I said it a little smoother than that,
Yeah.
but like, who starts there like, let me teach you this song with just like, okay, and the mood is friendship, and like everyone just kind of goes like, okay, like, yeah, so hit the starting note and then we can maybe try it. And I'm just like, okay, but first, friendship, like.
I'll have to say, like, I never minded, because of course, if we're on the same wavelength, I never minded learning like that, because if I knew the song, at which I had to familiarize myself with that one, if I knew the song, then I could just do it and it was fine. I didn't, as long as everything else was clicking. I think that that's probably one of the only songs that I actually felt cool, like, click into place with. Like, once we got it, it was like, oh, yeah, and it was awesome. So, and I think we all really enjoyed singing that one.
Yeah, I mean, once it's swung, it's swung. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I was that you arranged?
I also arranged a Portugal the Man song, which didn't come out very well. Um, and I arranged "Where Is My Mind" by the Pixies.
Where?
And
Yeah, and after that, I heard that song everywhere.
yeah, right. That's how that works too. Like now, I still hear. I go to the grocery store. I hear the Duffy tune that I just spoke to you about, "Begging You for Mercy" or whatever it's called. I think it might just be "Mercy." I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm very old. But I can tell you about Miles Davis though. But yeah, man. So it's amazing how once like your ears are open to a song, how it just kind of follows you around. Um, I have to say, this is where a little bit of the vanity comes on, but it's kind of relevant. Uh, you brought up "Crazy," and
Mm-hmm.
it's got to feel very different because you arranged it, but it's also, I feel like you sang the solo for like all 4 years of like us being in college. I don't expect, if you don't have a long answer, please don't sweat it. But just like, as someone who also hears ants marching, you know, and can you attest to like kind of the way you hear it? Has that changed at all? Like, only because it seems to be kind of tethered to you for so long? Because I know that for me, ants marching hits different at this point than it did when I was just a Dave Matthews Band fan, you know, for the majority of my life.
Yeah. Okay, so I highly doubt that you've seen it. Maybe you have. Um, there's a show called Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist or something on
Okay.
NBC right now, and I'm obsessed with it. Um, last week's episode, she sang "Crazy," and I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, it's a little weak, but all right, I'll let you have. So I don't know. I feel like every time I hear it, I'm always like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's good. Like if it's not Gnarls Barkley, then of course my mind gets into that like comparison
Yeah.
mode. But
You're waiting. You're waiting on your
like it,
royalty check. You're thinking like, oh,
yeah,
I must have been busy. I must have been on another line when they tried to call me there real quick. Oh,
just a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like that's probably one of the songs now. And I think because it is tied to me, that I can listen to all the time and not get tired of it. You know, because it does have a different meaning. So yeah, it definitely sits differently with me now, and
right.
it is. I don't know. I can't. I guess because we did it so long, and I arranged it, and I don't know. But it's definitely like still one of my favorite songs. So yeah, I get you.
I I admit I went through a little phase where ants marching I would just kind of hit skip. But because you do reach a point. I do. But
Yeah.
anyway, now what's changed for me is Dave Matthews is still very entrenched in who I am as a person. I say all the time, I might have said on another episode of this, like, if I, at this point, he might not be my favorite musician, but just for sheer sentimentality and just like consistency and the fact that he still has it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Like,
there's
yeah.
never going to be in my life another, Dave Matthews and Dave Matthews Band. Just so many formative things in my life have happened through that. That said, now, for as much as I listen to them, I can't see them live and hear that song without them jamming and me thinking to myself, how would I sing that? You know?
Yes.
That and
Yeah.
that's weird because the guys, you got Rashawn Ross and Jeff Coffin at this point are just going nuts on the sax, and I'm just in my mind, instead of like enjoying it, I'm just like, okay, I would probably turn on the falsetto there, yeah,
No, I completely understand that. I do.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I I do that every once in a while. Um, but I feel like I don't know where I used to do it a lot before. My musical brain has gone away. I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like, if I looked at a piece of music today, would I be able to read it? And it makes me so sad. But
Well,
life goes on.
I doubt it would take much to blow the dust off. Hey, I'll tell you when all this is behind us, I'll come over to Pennsylvania and we'll do some singing. We'll duet for Bennett. That would be great.
She's gonna look. You don't know how much like I need that to happen. I one just miss singing, but two miss your face, and three miss singing with you. So like, yes, that needs to happen.
Singing with you was always a pleasure. I've only seen it once in this interview, but looking over and seeing that attitude face, seeing that, seeing that little snarl, just like I'm having fun, but I'm gonna get you. You know what I'm saying? Like this real, like we're on the prowl, like musically, man. Like no, it was contagious. It really was. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And then the attitude phase would just be made when like people would offer you like, you want some juice, Charnel? Like yeah. Yeah, I like juice. I'm like, all right, cool. Oh man, incredible time.
Yeah.
Charnel, I want to have you on again and again because there are more stories to be told. But one story I wanted to make sure to bring up is one that I'm not necessarily proud of because it's the hardest I've ever laughed, where I thought for sure that I was kind of going to hell when I was laughing about it.
Oh man.
Now, by chance, do you know what I was talking about?
I don't want to say the wrong thing and then bring it up, but I wrote something down that I was like, man, I'm gonna have to bring this up when I talk to Tom. So,
oh no,
could this is this about Ryan by chance?
Oh man, it's not. So we got to tell your story.
Oh, you remember when I thought that that Ryan was Shane Ruck for a semester?
No, those are 2 days. No.
It was and it was almost an entire semester, and I was so embarrassed. But yeah.
Oh man, forget my list. Read the rest of yours.
I don't remember how it came around. Like I guess Shane tried out for Rhapsody, and he, had this very like confident air, I'll say. Mm-hmm. And I was like, like, but
there's the thing.
So I thought that we said yes to him, and I was like, okay, sure, fine. But really, it was Ryan. And I went on thinking for almost a semester that Ryan was in fact Shane. And we kept saying, like, what was it, like, what the truck Shane Rucker, like something like that.
Exactly.
I was like, he's right there. He's right there. Why are we talking about it?
Like you're the only one in the room. Oh Lord. Guys, wait. Oh, too much.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's thinking, what were you talking about?
What I was talking about is one of the times we took a trip to Elizabethtown to sing.
Yes.
Yeah, she knows now. Boy, oh boy, I'm telling you, I am not proud of this, but oh boy, okay. So
no, honestly, you might have thought you were going to hell, but I felt like a much better person having you say something about it. Like it just made my whole like existence. It was great.
Oh, it
But
was
you
so,
go ahead,
it
tell
was
us.
validating. It was validating, but we'll get to that. So Rhapsody, York to Elizabethtown was maybe like a 2 hour drive. I don't know. I might be mistaken on that. I didn't have a car in college. But we, I say helped out, but whatever. It was all kind of community. We sang for Melika, their all female a cappella group, at a fundraiser, which was for to stop violence against women, which is tremendous. That's something that's worth every bit of support, then, now, forever. Um, After we're done performing and Melika performs, there's a presentation that's, again, really informative. The last thing I want to sound like is that I'm coming off flippant or that anything about the subject matter is funny. It's not. I was thrilled to be there and really happy to help out. Again,
Really,
say help out, but I got a lot from it.
right.
That said, the woman giving this presentation, at one point, and you'll have to take my word for it that she said it weird. She really did. She asked us to guess a statistic, asked the audience to guess a statistic about how many women were subject to this kind of treatment, abuse. And again, very serious question. And the whole room is kind of somber and stoic about it, which is appropriate. And then she says, and I swear she said it weird. She says, does anyone want to take a stab at that? How many women are experience violence? And she said, does anyone want to take a stab at that? And she said it so strangely that it was one of those things where it just kind of rang so uncanny that I remember making like kind of a sound that was just like, whoa, like that. And then in my mind, I'm just like, was that funny? Like now I'm uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, was she joking? And then suddenly, to my right, I see Charnel, like, you can't really see because of the camera, but you kind of see like, like her like laughing a little bit and she's smiling. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, no, that was weird. Because I gotta be honest, if I'm being really honest with you, like I see a strong, confident woman to my right, and I'm like, if she thought that was weird, then like I'm not being a fool. You know what I'm saying? Or as much of a fool as I could be. And I just remember after that kind of ended, Charnel and I were just like, did you hear that? And she's like, yeah, I heard that. And then I think we laughed for about a half hour straight in that car ride home.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was so glad that it wasn't just me. Like, because I have a tendency even still to just really take things out of context and like just make stuff up in my head that would be like hilarious. Luckily, I have someone here who occasionally does the same thing, so I don't feel so like left out. But I'm like, you're very right. Very serious situation. Not really a time to be laughing and joking. I laughed my ass off. Like I was so funny. So I mean, I don't think that we're bad people.
Yeah.
I just feel like we can find humor in the not so humorous. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's a gift that we have.
Yeah, it's a gift. All right, way to go. Nah, you spun that. I should have confessed this to you a long time ago. Baby boy. I'd have been sleeping better the whole time. No, it was a very surreal. And if I'm being honest with you, man, that was very funny. I had to address. I think that's the only elephant in the room between me and Charnel. I wanted to make sure that was brought up. Boy, oh boy. Charnel, did you have, I know you mentioned the list a couple times. Did you have anything else that you wanted to make sure to share?
Look, I think that we actually talked about most of it. However, I'm going to check it right now. Just
Yeah.
give me a second.
I appreciate how seriously you took the program to make a list in advance. Boy, oh boy.
Oh yeah, because I was like, let me organize my thoughts because I keep telling you, my memory is not what it used to be. So I was like, man, I have some stories, right? Now, I have partial stories. That's the only thing. So you're going to have to fill in the blanks.
Okay.
If I say cannonball, what do you think of? Do you remember?
Oh no, maybe my memory is worse than yours.
I you okay, so I don't think that it actually happened, but you told me that it was going to. You saw me walking ahead of you on the way to class one day. Um, this was when we were over on the other campus, and I just bought my nice new winter coat that was black, and I had the hood up and everything.
Oh yeah, I do remember. Oh man. Okay,
And
I remember the
I
coat.
can't remember you actually if you actually did it or not, but you said something about like wanting to yell cannonball. So for like a week after that, that's what you would do when you saw me. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, that one stuck out a little bit. Let's see. Oh, take a stab at it was number one on my list.
Yeah, okay. That's how
Covered
much.
that.
That's how much it resonated. Yeah, boy, oh boy.
Oh, one of the ones that I remember, you were talking about car rides. I don't remember where we were going. I don't think it was after practice or I don't know. But we were in the car. Don't remember whose car. Don't remember who was driving. But you were trying to get us all to freestyle in the car, and I am not good at anything like that. I need time to prepare, as you can see. So I could not do it. And I came up with something because you wouldn't let me pass. I came up with something weird. It was like 4 words, and that was about it. But like, it was so fun, and just everyone like coming up with different things. It was a really good time, even though I was like terrified when it came to be my turn and all of that. But you were very encouraging, and you made me do it. So
That's true. Yeah, man. Oh,
yeah,
dude. Always good to rap. Speaking of car rides, I'm about to jump
yeah.
in, and this might be the best way to end this episode because I know that Brian has to get to work, and I appreciate your flexibility and his. Boy, oh boy.
Uh,
KB, no, all right.
I'll tell him.
Yeah, exactly. Tell him, you know. Oh man. But do you remember Stone Sober on a stack of Bibles? Stone Sober. Do you remember when Amy uh, blew the stop sign on Halloween?
Yes, and we got pulled over by campus police.
All right. So we get pulled over by campus police on Halloween. And again, everybody's just fine. I'm not even saying this for the benefit of the podcast. Like, we're on our way out. Like, we're just 4 people in a car that happen to be dressed a little weird. And so you have Amy, who's Lucille Ball. I'm Two-Face in a suit because Steve Marillo will make fun of me every year. I would find a way to wear a suit and have that be my Halloween costume. And then you have Charnel dressed up as a male pimp, complete with
Oh yeah.
fake facial hair. And she's rocking it. Like, I really can't even. You're gonna have to take my word for it. Like, it was like one of those things where, with all the love and respect in the world, I was just like, "Who's that dude?" You know?
You know, I make a very sexy man. I'm not ashamed. I was that for what, 3 years in a row. So yeah, I understand. Yeah,
We're rocking it. And
crazy.
complete with the facial hair. And so campus police pops in and they ask for Amy's ID and they do their job. And I'll never forget, actually they lean in with the flashlight, and I actually hear one of the guys say like, "Oh, I think he's Two-Faced." You know what I'm saying? And I felt like being like, "Yeah, I am," And I just remember how surreal it was being pulled over, and part of me was praying that they would ask for everybody's ID just so you would hand them yours and be, have the driver's license.
If I could have been in character, it would have been great.
Yeah. Oh,
Just so, just a little, put some bass in my voice.
Yeah. Oh no, man. It was a character, man. I think we all committed. You know what I'm saying? Like I had coins to flip. Amy was making Lucy. I was trying to think of like some iconic Lucy thing to say, but I think a lot of Lucy's just kind of expression. But anyway,
Yeah, you can do those too. That's fine.
no, I'm not baby boy. We're not gonna get to that. Man, not at all. Charnel, I want to thank you so much for being here with me. This has been another episode of the Corn Chronicles. The search continues. Shout out to Dennis Madden. I'll be trying to let Charnel know when Dennis is on the program so she can relive all
Please.
those terrible stories. Boy, man,
Uh,
I was not a nice
I'm
guy.
looking forward to it.
What's that?
I said I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. No, a lot of love.
It's gonna be good.
Him. A lot of love for you, Charnel. All my best to you, Brian, and the lovely Bennett. If you ever want to talk Sesame Street, you ever want to brush up, you let me know. I'm always here for you. All right.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And thank you for asking me to be a part of your show. It was so good to see your face.
Man, you too. We'll talk again soon, okay?
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya.
See ya.